Sri Ramakrishna was having great fun with the young devotees. Now and then he glanced at M. He noticed that M sat in silence. The master said to Ramlal, "You see, he is a little advanced in years and therefore somewhat serious. He sits quiet while the youngsters are making merry." M was then about 28 years old. Hanuman's devotion to Rama. The conversation drifted to Hanuman, whose picture hung on the wall in the master's room. Sri Ramakrishna said, "Just imagine Hanuman's state of mind. He didn't care for money, honor, creature comforts or anything else. He longed only for God. When he was running away with the heavenly weapon that had been secreted in the crystal pillar, Mandodari began to tempt him with various fruits so that he might come down and drop the weapon. But he couldn't be tricked so easily. In reply to her persuasions, he sang this song: Am I in need of fruit? I have the fruit that makes this life fruitful indeed. Within my heart the tree of Rama grows, bearing salvation for its fruit. Under the wish-fulfilling tree of Rama do I sit at ease, plucking whatever fruit I will. But if you speak of fruit, no beggar I for common fruit. Behold, I go, leaving a bitter fruit for you." As Sri Ramakrishna was singing the song, he went into samadhi. Again the half-closed eyes and motionless body that one sees in his photograph. Just a minute before, the devotees had been making merry in his company. Now all eyes were riveted on him. Thus, for the second time, M saw the master in samadhi. After a long time, the master came back to ordinary consciousness. His face lighted up with a smile and his body relaxed. His senses began to function in a normal way. He shed tears of joy as he repeated the holy name of Rama. M wondered whether this very saint was the person who a few minutes earlier had been behaving like a child of 5. The master said to Narendra and M, "I should like to hear you speak and argue in English." They both laughed, but they continued to talk in their mother tongue. It was impossible for M to argue any more before the master. Though Ramakrishna insisted, they did not talk in English. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, all the devotees except Narendra and M took leave of the master. As M was walking in the temple garden, he suddenly came upon the master talking to Narendra on the bank of the goose pond. Sri Ramakrishna said to Narendra, "Look here, come a little more often. You are a newcomer." On first acquaintance, people visit each other quite often, as is the case with a lover and his sweetheart. Narendra and M laughed. "So please come, won't you?" Narendra, a member of the Brahmo Samaj, was very particular about his promises. He said with a smile, "Yes, sir, I shall try." As they were returning to the master's room, Sri Ramakrishna said to M, "When peasants go to market to buy bullocks for their plows, they can easily tell the good from the bad by touching their tails. On being touched, some meekly lie down on the ground. The peasants recognize that these are without mettle and so reject them. They select only those bullocks that frisk about and show spirit when their tails are touched. Narendra is like a bullock of this latter class. He is full of spirit within." The master smiled as he said this and continued, "There are some people who have no grit whatever. They are like flattened rice soaked in milk, soft and mushy, no inner strength." It was dusk. The master was meditating on God. He said to M, "Go and talk to Narendra, then tell me what you think of him." Evening worship was over in the temples. M met Narendra on the bank of the Ganges and they began to converse. Narendra told M about his studying in college, his being a member of the Brahmo Samaj and so on. It was now late in the evening and time for M's departure, but he felt reluctant to go and instead went in search of Sri Ramakrishna. He had been fascinated by the master's singing and wanted to hear more. At last he found the master pacing alone in the Nat Mandir in front of the Kali temple. A lamp was burning in the temple on either side of the image of the Divine Mother. The single lamp in the spacious Nat Mandir blended light and darkness into a kind of mystic twilight in which the figure of the master could be dimly seen. M had been enchanted by the master's sweet music. With some hesitation he asked him whether there would be any more singing that evening. "No, not tonight," said Sri Ramakrishna after a little reflection. Then, as if remembering something, he added, "But I am going soon to Balram Bose's house in Calcutta. Come there and you will hear me sing." M agreed to go. "Master, do you know Balram Bose?" M, "No, sir, I don't." "Master, he lives in Bosepara." M, "Well, sir, I shall find him." As Sri Ramakrishna walked up and down the hall with M, he said to him, "Let me ask you something. What do you think of me?" M remained silent. Again Sri Ramakrishna asked, "What do you think of me? How many annas of knowledge of God have I?" M: "I don't understand what you mean by annas, but of this I am sure. I have never before seen such knowledge, ecstatic love, faith in God, renunciation and Catholicity anywhere." The master laughed and bowed low before him and took his leave. He had gone as far as the main gate of the temple garden when he suddenly remembered something and came back to Sri Ramakrishna, who was still in the Nat Mandir. In the dim light, the master, all alone, was pacing the hall, rejoicing in the self, as the lion lives and roams alone in the forest. In silent wonder, M surveyed that great soul. Master to M: "What makes you come back?" M: "Perhaps the house you asked me to go belongs to a rich man. They may not let me in. I think I had better not go. I would rather meet you here." Master: "Oh no, why should you think that? Just mention my name, say that you want to see me, then someone will take you to me." M nodded his assent and after saluting the master took his leave. Chapter 2. In the company of devotees, March 11, 1882. Master at Balram's house. About 8 o'clock in the morning, Sri Ramakrishna went as planned to Balram Bose's house in Calcutta. It was the day of the Dol Yatra. Ram, Manmohan, Rakhal, Nitya Gopal and other devotees were with him. M too came as bidden by the master. Devotees in trance. The devotees and the master sang and danced in a state of divine fervor. Several of them were in an ecstatic mood. Nitya Gopal's chest glowed with the upsurge of emotion, and Rakhal lay on the floor in ecstasy, completely unconscious of the world. The master put his hand on Rakhal's chest and said, "Peace, be quiet." This was Rakhal's first experience of ecstasy. He lived with his father in Calcutta and now and then visited the master at Dakshineshwar. About this time he had studied a short while in Vidyasagar school at Shampukur. When the music was over, the devotees sat down for the meal. Balram stood there humbly like a servant. Nobody would have taken him for the master of the house, and was still a stranger to the devotees, having met only Narendra at Dakshineshwar. A few days later, M visited the master at Dakshineshwar. It was between 4 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The master and he were sitting on the steps of the Shiva temples, looking at the temple of Radhakant. Across the courtyard, the master went into an ecstatic mood. Since his nephew Hriday's dismissal from the temple, Sri Ramakrishna had been living without an attendant. On account of his frequent spiritual moods, he could hardly take care of himself. The lack of an attendant caused him great inconvenience. By Kotri condemned. Sri Ramakrishna was talking to Kali, the divine mother of the universe. He said, "Mother, everyone says my watch alone is right. The Christians, the Brahmos, the Hindus, the Mussalmans all say my religion alone is true. But mother, the fact is that nobody's watch is right. Who can truly understand thee? But if a man prays to thee with a yearning heart, he can reach thee through thy grace by any path. Mother, show me some time how the Christians pray to thee in their churches." "But mother, what will people say if I go in? Suppose they make a fuss? Suppose they don't allow me to enter the Kali temple again? Well then, show me the Christian worship from the door of the church." The mind's inability to comprehend God. Another day the master was seated on the small couch in his room with his usual beaming countenance. M arrived with Kali Krishna, who did not know where his friend M was taking him. He had only been told, "If you want to see a grog shop, then come with me. You will see a huge jar of wine there." M related this to Sri Ramakrishna, who laughed about it. The master said, "The bliss of worship and communion with God is the true wine, the wine of ecstatic love. The goal of human life is to love God. Bhakti is the one essential thing. To know God through Gyan and reasoning is extremely difficult." Then the master sang, "Who is there that can understand what Mother Kali is? Even the 6 darshanas are powerless to reveal her." The master said again, "The one goal of life is to cultivate love for God, the love that the milkmaids, the milkmen, and the cowherd boys of Vrindavan felt for Krishna. When Krishna went away to Mathura, the cowherds roamed about weeping bitterly because of their separation from him." Saying this, the master sang with his eyes turned upward, "Just now I saw a youthful cowherd with a young calf in his arms. There he stood by one hand holding the branch of a young tree. "Where are you, brother Kanai?" he cried. But Kanai scarcely could he utter. Ka was as much as he could say.